This is Jason Clement, Director of Field Application Engineering for Hanwha Vision America. And in this video, we're going to look at the NVIDIA Jetson with Wave and NVIDIA, how to flash it if you need to. You should receive it from the factory with everything that you need on there, but there may be a time in the future where you will need to flash it, and we'll go over how to do that in this video. So just to review quickly what the NVIDIA multi-sensor is, it is a camera and a server. So the camera portion is on its own. That is running the camera and our Wise AI platform for any AI on board the camera. Then the NVIDIA Jetson is a full Linux server running on the camera, on board the camera itself with any of our partners. In this case, it would be Wave and the NVIDIA Wave AI plugin. So we have the camera that's assigned an IP on the LAN. Behind it is the NVIDIA Jetson. This part matters more for if you're doing the Wave and NVIDIA videos, which will be linked in the description. We're going to need an FTP server on the network. Then we're also going to need a PC running PuTTY, which is an SSH client, because we're going to have to get in there and run some commands before we can actually use a web UI to do the rest of the management that we'll need to do. If this seems overwhelming, don't worry. We're going to walk through each step and get all the correct applications that we need to get this done. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, jumping into getting this set up so we can flash this Jetson, you'll need your FTP server. Here I just have free FileZilla, so if you're a customer or you don't have an FTP that you can use, this is free to download and utilize. You will need to leave it insecure though. It will just need to be normal FTP and not FTPS. So if you download this, do not plug it into somebody else's network without talking to their network administrator first, because it could cause you some grief. And PuTTY, you can just search for PuTTY. So if we go here, we just look, you can just search for PuTTY. It will be the first result that you get. I'll also leave links for everything in the description below. And then just download the 64-bit installer. Go ahead and install it. And FileZilla, you can just search for FileZilla. It'll take you there, download the server application and install it, and you'll be good to go. Then you will just need to set up your share drive. So there'll be a link below for the documentation that will have the link to this image that you will need. And I recommend just calling it share, because that's what our documentation calls it, and it's best if you're walking through this to just use the same nomenclature as our documentation. That way, if you do need to call in the tech support or talk to them, they will be working off the same nomenclature that you are. So first we'll go ahead, we'll open up FileZilla. We're going to go up to server, we're going to go to configure, we're going to go to users, say OK, we're going to add a user. In the documentation it says 8 GB, so we'll just go ahead and keep it simple like that. We need to add a virtual path. It's just going to be a /, and then remember I showed you in there, it was just called share, C drive, / share. We'll apply. Oh, we need to add a password too. Okay, so now we've got that set up. We can go ahead and click OK there. We do need to, under configuration here, we do need to say allow insecure plain FTP just for this upload. That's why I was saying you don't want to just load this up and plug it into somebody else's network, especially a large enterprise network, because they will sniff out this insecure FTP server and they will shut that port down likely. So we'll go ahead and we'll apply. Now first we need to know the IP of this machine, so we're going to go ahead and run command prompt and just do an IP config. This machine is at .1.210, so we'll need that information. And then we're going to go ahead and go to the camera interface, which was 2.168.6. And then we'll just need to log into the camera here. We're going to go to Setup, System, and Jetson Flashing Upgrade here. Our IP address was, remember, 192. Oops, I don't need this Microsoft Edge. Thank you anyways. 2.168.1.210. And our admin was 8 GB. Okay, we've got the IP address of our FTP server. We have the ID. We need to put in the password that we set in the FTP server. And in here we need to put the file name, which I've just copied and pasted out of the document that will be linked below there. So this is important. If you don't put that whole name in there, it will not function correctly. And then we'll go ahead and hit apply the changes, and it will make the connection and start doing the imaging. This will take a while, so if you have a break or you have something else to do, you can walk away from it for a while and let it do its thing. And there we go, we got success and successful, and now it's going to go ahead and image the Jetson board for us. So our flashing is complete. If we go ahead and we go into the log, go to the system log, you'll see that it started the FTP. There were a few things that it did back and forth here, and then we get the Jetson flashing complete, which if you follow the documentation, this is what we're looking for. It did take a little bit, about a half hour, to get that done. So now we're back and we can finish this up. But before we leave the camera, we need to go into our IP and port configuration, go to our port configuration, make sure that this rule, this port mapping is in there. It should be, but you just want to double check and make sure that it's in there. Otherwise, we will not be able to SSH to the Jetson, as the camera is essentially a firewall between the Jetson and the network. So now that that's set, we can just go ahead and go into PuTTY. We're going to go ahead and put in the IP address of the camera. Mine is .1.56, and remember the port is 2222 to SSH into there. We're just going to go ahead and hit enter. It's going to give you some information here. Just go ahead and accept it. And now we're going to log in as NVIDIA, and then the password is NVIDIA. And now we're going to go ahead and run some various commands, which there will be a link below to all these commands, so you don't have to remember them. You can just copy and paste them out of here. So we'll go to our command list here. So these are all the commands that we're going to run. I'm going to go ahead and move this off to another screen. And then I'll copy the first one that we're going to run back here. Now to copy and paste something into PuTTY, you need to do a shift insert. Otherwise, if you just try to hit Control V to paste it, it will just give you a couple of characters that don't mean anything. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. It's going to ask us for the root password, which is our NVIDIA password. I typed it in wrong. Oh, putting in the wrong password. That's my fault. So this is going to run for a bit while it goes and gets everything that it needs and installs the update, and then we'll come back and do the next portion of it. There we go. Now we can log back in. Our NVIDIA, all lowercase password. Next thing we want to do is to actually go out, update the package database, and then also run an upgrade to make sure that everything is up to date. Again, shift insert to paste. Oh, oops, I have a capital letter there. Linux is case sensitive. So now we're going to put in our password. And it's going to go ahead and update the database of what needs to be updated. Then it will go ahead and run the update. So we're going to go ahead and say yes here. And we'll let it do its thing, and then we'll come back and we'll start working on getting Wave installed. Now we're going to go ahead and download the Wave server package. Shift insert. And we'll go ahead and download that for us. And now we're going to go ahead and install that package. Again, shift insert to paste the command. Yes, we want to continue. When this pops up, just go ahead and hit enter to click OK and proceed. And now, because most of this is actually installed now, we can just go to a web browser, go to port 90, and this is just because it's using the self-signed certificates. And we'll go ahead and log in, NVIDIA, and NVIDIA. Go to our services. There we go, just had to refresh it. Now we're going to just search for Hanwha, and there's our Hanwha media server that's running. So that is installed correctly. Now we can go back to our SSH session here. And go back. Now we're going to actually install the NVIDIA plugin. So we're going to insert this command. Let this run. Now that the NVIDIA plugin is installed, we can go ahead and run our last command. This is essentially going to set the password to mandatorily be reset at the first login. So we'll run that, and then we'll just go ahead and hit exit. And there we go. We now have Wave running. We can double check. We can go to the IP of the camera, port 7001, which is the Wave port. Again, self-signed certificate. And there's our Wave system. And now you can go to setting up the NVIDIA Jetson with Wave and NVIDIA Part 1, and you can go ahead and get everything set back up. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.